We need to talk about Etsy. For real. So honestly, 2024 has been a lot. And I feel like a lot of you can actually resonate with that. And I'm not even just talking about e-commerce. I feel like we've been thrown a lot of different things our way, and one of them being the stuff going on with Etsy. And I have a lot of people asking me questions on how to get started, what's going on with the fee, because apparently you have to pay to sell on Etsy now, which wasn't actually a thing up until a few months ago. So as we know, Etsy is an e-commerce marketplace, meaning there's two sides to it. There are buyers and sellers actively on the site, meaning that anyone anywhere can technically sell on Etsy as long as it's available in their country. Now, what is happening with that is due to Etsy being one of the largest marketplaces, they're gonna run into a lot of bots and spam and things that are not allowed on their platform. Now, back a few months ago, we had the huge bot storm that was going on in Etsy, and people were freaking out. Shops were getting suspended, people were getting kicked off, and it was really hectic. And I think that this was a part of Etsy clearing everything out and then making sure that we're keeping bots and random accounts that aren't serious about selling off of Etsy. So if you do not know, when you sign up for an Etsy account now, there is a flat $15 fee. Now, you do not get that money back. You're never gonna see it again. It is a $15 fee to essentially think of it as like setting up your account. Now, no, that's not a monthly fee, thank goodness. I'm actually really happy that Etsy is not rolling out the monthly fees. Think of like different website hosts like Shopify and stuff like that. So fingers crossed that it's just this first fee. And honestly, in my opinion, $15 is not that much, like comparatively to these other websites where if you are gonna sign up like for the first month on Shopify after a trial, it's $29. So I think the $15 fee is fair, but I get it. Not everybody has $15 to just throw at an Etsy fee. So that is something that we do need to take note of. And I'm gonna explain to you why that has gone into effect, because a lot of people are confused about this. And honestly, I was too. Now, obviously a $15 fee makes you question, am I actually gonna use this? Am I actually gonna set up this account, or am I going to create this and never touch it ever again? Versus when it was free to open an Etsy account, especially with a free listing link, anybody could just open a shop, abandon it, oh, whatever. And Etsy doesn't wanna deal with that. They don't wanna have a ton of people on their platform that aren't using it, that take all this time to create the shops and, you know, are in their system, and then they have to keep hounding them to pay the fees that maybe roll over and all this stuff. Like, Etsy wants people that are serious on the platform. So what does this mean for sellers? Honestly, I think it's kind of good, because as I said, this is gonna keep a lot of these mass bots and people that are not serious about selling off of Etsy, and that actually increases more room for those of us that actually want to list and be active in our Etsy stores. And it's less random listings when you're just scrolling on Etsy and there's a bunch of random stuff, right? That's really gonna be less and less going into the rest of time on Etsy. I really believe they are cracking down and they don't want BS on their platform.
I just want to say that these are my opinions about why I feel Etsy really did do this on the back end. According to them, they are stating the fee was something that is now a setup fee. That way your credit card just transfers over rather you having to add it as another step when setting up your shop. They're also claiming that there may be promotions where this won't be necessary to do the fee. So again, it's just like my personal experience from selling on Etsy and knowing Etsy and why I think they actually did this.
Etsy is also being more and more aware of inactivities on shops. So recently I actually got a ding on a shop that I have multiple shops, because not only am I selling on multiple shops with help obviously, but I also have like the shops that I show for demo accounts and for YouTube videos. And so the other day I get an email and it's like, we're closing down your Etsy shop. And obviously I am like full-blown panic, because I'm like, oh my gosh. But it happened to be one that I created to show in a course tutorial that I filmed quite a few months ago, right? And what Etsy did is it gave me a, hey, if you don't sign into this account within 90 days, we're going to disable your account. You're gonna be suspended. And it kind of threw me a little bit. I was like, oh, now I don't know if this has been a thing, but it is now, at least, okay? It is the first time that I actually had that happen to me. So all you have to do, if that does happen to you, let's say you open an Etsy account a few months ago and you haven't touched it, but you're still interested, go ahead and log into it. Make sure you can still get into it because they are sending emails for that. And it says that within the 90 days, if you do not log in, your account will go away. I do believe that there's a way you can still reactivate that, so I wouldn't be too concerned if that did happen to you. You can reach out to Etsy support. And by the way, I'm actually going to put all the things to get in contact with Etsy support, file an appeal for everything I'm talking about in that description below. So don't panic. I will put all the resources for you. So yeah, Etsy is cracking down on that. They want people that are aware on their platform. They're keeping out bots, spammers, people that are not following their rights, that are not following their policies, and they are trying to keep it a good platform to sell on. And I actually really appreciate that. So even as a seller that's been selling for 4 years, like I actually appreciate that, because it's frustrating when there's all these like spam account listings all over a search page, because like maybe their SEO is good, but like the product's not great and they're still taking up room. So it's like not a good look. I don't love it. I think it makes Etsy look tacky. I think it like makes Etsy look like a Temu or something like that. And that's what they're really trying to avoid with getting rid of the drop shippers, getting rid of the spam accounts, and all of that. Now, something else that is happening that I want to address with Etsy in 2024, and that was happening a little bit last year, is the new shop suspensions. So this is actually very common, and I think it has to do with everything that I just said about Etsy trying to narrow down who is real and who is not on their platform. This is just my theory, but I really do think that anytime Etsy gets a single tiny flag of a new shop that could be not real, they immediately suspend it, and whether or not you appeal it kind of tells them if you're real or not. That's kind of what I'm gathering from lots of people that I have helped get their shops unsuspended, that I have personally experienced with new stores just literally getting suspended right after I open them, and it's frustrating. So if this happened to you, or if it does happen to you, do not panic. There's actually two types of the Etsy suspension notices that you will get. So most of the time, if right after your shop's open, you're gonna get one that is a temporary suspension. So it basically, how you're gonna know it's temporary is it's gonna say, hey, your Etsy shop is suspended. Here's what you can do. So if it gives you a reason, or it tells you how you can actually appeal that, you're good. You're not permanently suspended. You can still appeal that. And 9 out of 10 times in my experience, and with people that I've helped, as I said, you will get the shop back as long as you just tell them, hey, I'm signing up for an Etsy shop. You can kind of say something along the lines of, you know, I'm really excited to get started. I was thinking of selling things on this store for, you know, some side hustle or whatever it is that you want to say, and, you know, being honest with it. But I'm just wondering why my shop is suspended, because, you know, I filled everything out to the best of my ability, and I'm not sure why. Most of the time, I think in my head and in my theory of this is that they're just trying to narrow down those fake accounts, because like the bots are crazy. Now, if you do get a notice on your shop of a permanent suspension, this is not good. I'm gonna be flat out completely honest with you. There is a reason that you're getting that suspension. Now, this does not seem to be happening with people that open up their shops right away, as I was just explaining. This seems to be happening to people who have had shops open for a while and have had some sales, or no sales at all, but they have listings active. And most of the time you are violating a policy, whether you are violating a trademark, maybe it is something in your design, maybe you used a photo that does not belong to you. Anything like that could be the reason, along with payment issues, or if something is just not adding up in your personal information. So those are just a few things to take account of. So if your shop does get permanently suspended, I want you to go ahead and reach out to the resources I have below, because that is your option, is to basically send it an email and keep trying to get that shop back open. What you do not want to do is try to create another store, because then you're going to pay a $15 fee and they're going to do the exact same thing. So you just want to try to solve it within the Etsy customer service and see if you can get that shop back. But I don't want to freak anybody out, because honestly, that does not happen often. A permanent ban does not happen often. I have thousands of people that are signing up, talking to me about their Etsy shops, and it is like very, very rare. So if you are gonna sign up, you pay that $15 fee and you get the temporary suspension, don't panic, you will be good. You just have to submit that appeal. And trust me, I know it's frustrating. And you know, as much as I love Etsy, like I always stand behind them, I always recommend them, I think that they're getting a little nuts with their like process here. Like I feel like it's a little crazy, but I respect it. I feel like they're going somewhere with it. I don't hate them, but I definitely am just like, why are we charging a fee and then instantly suspending people? I feel like that's kind of odd. I know that there's been some talk about people who are reporting Etsy for that reason, because you're paying a fee to open a shop and then you can't access it. But for now, that is the best advice that I can give to you for that. Now, I do just want to give my opinion, because I did come across a few comments the other day about this. And I just want to lay it all out there and tell you my exact thoughts on what's going on with Etsy. Am I still going to be an Etsy seller? Am I moving to Shopify? I did a video about this back in October, I believe, and my vision still pretty much stays the same, right? I love Etsy. I will keep recommending Etsy as long as I feel they're a good platform to sell on. I'm not going to tell you guys to sign up to Etsy if I don't think you can make it work. If that changes, you will be the first to know. I'm still an Etsy seller. I'm still going to be selling on Etsy, and I still recommend them. It's just about following the protocols and making sure we're doing things correctly and efficiently. And I also want to say with that is, I know a lot of people think that like, oh, Etsy side hustle, Etsy this and that. And while yes, it is a side hustle if you make it, if you make the time for it, but Etsy is something you have to understand. It is not completely passive income. You still have to be present. You still have to be in your shop. You still have to be active. If you don't work on it, it's not going to be pushed. It's not going to do well in the algorithm. And while you can still have a part-time Etsy shop, like trust me, I know people, and myself included, that run shops that they're not completely active in and they still make really good money in it. It is completely possible, but you just have to keep in mind that like you can't post a bunch of listings and just forget about it for months. Like there's renewal fees, there's all these different things. So it's just something that if you're gonna start it, especially now, like do it 100, right? Or do it 50, whatever that time that you can give to it, give it your all, because I know not everyone can spend all day on Etsy. It's not everyone's full-time job, and I understand that. But if you want it to be something that becomes that, you are gonna have to put the work into it. And that's just real. That's just the truth, especially with more and more competition that we encounter on the platform. So of course, I still recommend Etsy. I'm still an Etsy seller. I still love Etsy. And I do have a free listing link, of course, always in the description below. Gives you 40 free listings. So at least if you pay that $15 fee, you have your 41st listings for free. All this talk about suspension, for real. You can tell it's like a trigger point of mine. So now that we got all the nitty gritty out of the way, I wanna give you some tips. If you made it to this part of the video, make sure to let me know, because I wanna let you in on some secrets and tips that I feel have made me more successful on Etsy and for a lot of people that I've helped. So first things first is understanding Etsy as a platform and what they're trying to portray. So if we remember back in the Super Bowl, or maybe you weren't aware of this, Etsy did a Super Bowl commercial and it was all about gifts. It was literally like, Etsy is the place to go for gifts. Etsy is going to give you personalized items, right? They're pushing this is for gifts. And obviously people love to give personalized gifts, things that have someone's name on it, or, you know, are they're personal to them. And so with that ad, and the front page of Etsy, like they literally have a gift guide now. They literally are pushing gifts. And that's part of selling on an e-commerce platform versus a website, is we have to adapt to the things that they're rolling out, the trends that they're favoriting. Like we really need to be in it and active in it to know what's going on in the platform. And so Etsy is pushing personalization and gifts. So a few tips for this is, if you do want to offer personalized items, especially if you're selling print on demand, I highly recommend doing so. I will leave a link for a video where I showed you step by step on how you can actually automate that for print on demand. So that will be below for you. And if maybe you don't want to offer completely custom products, totally fine. But what I highly recommend doing is checking off that gift message option. That's going to be under your store settings, showing you now where that's at. Check that on, because what it does is it allows customers, once they check off that the item is a gift, to give that personal message to the person receiving it. And what's really cool about that is, if you are a Printify Premium member, you can actually have that gift message printed on a card that is sent to your customer with your Printify order. So very, very cool. It just adds that personal touch. If you want to see a video on that, let me know, because I'm kind of thinking of doing like a full tutorial on how to do that. So if you're interested in that, be sure to let me know. But it's really cool because it's just that personal touch that makes someone feel good about their order, right? Like they see a gift message that came from their mom or their brother, their cousin. They're like, wow. And then they open their gift. Like it's so much more personable. And I feel like that helps with reviews as well. Now, something else to keep in mind too with the gift ideas, because Etsy is really pushing this for their platform, they did recently update. So now anyone that is receiving a gift, so let's say if I am purchasing for my friend, I can put down my friend's email and they can access their order, and they can actually message you as a seller. It'll show up as a gift recipient. So if that is coming up for you, that is what that means. And with that being said, it kind of eliminates the person that purchased the order versus like, you know, the customer's actually able to have that gift recipient tracking or check things about it if they do choose to share that with them. I was just talking with another seller the other day that was actually telling me that she gets a ton of those where people are sending in their emails, and I personally haven't been as much as she has. So maybe it's just the type of product that we're selling or what the actual item is, but yeah, something to keep in mind there. And the last tip that I want to give you for all of that information that I just had mentioned, with everything being gifts, with, you know, all the things that we need to keep in mind with Etsy, is updating your SEO, maybe putting a gift or a term that someone's going to search for. So for example, if you are selling teacher apparel or teacher art prints, we may want to include something of gift for teacher or teacher gift, okay? Putting that gift word or personalized word when you can in your SEO is really gonna help out, especially just because of what Etsy is pushing for the platform, and of course, toggling on that gift recipient. So all those things I hope are helpful to you today. Let me know what your thoughts are on Etsy. Are you still gonna sell on them? What are your thoughts with this? Have you been affected by this? Has your shop been suspended? I really wanna get a conversation about it because I know it is affecting a lot of people that I've talked to on my social media platforms as well. So please be sure to let me know. All in all, if you are new, please don't give up. This can absolutely be something that's making you income. You just have to put the time and energy into it like anything else. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.